There are so many ways and so many things you can talk about when you talk about the coming of the three kings. But this evening, I want to talk about the journey that these three kings made. And I want to point out that their journey is like our journey through life. Their journey had three different phases. And our journey does too. The first phase was these kings saw a star. And they were inspired to follow the star. And they were enthusiastic about being led by the star. To me, that's the first phase of our journey in life. We grew up. We get educated. We get a job. Most people marry and they start a family. That's basically the first phase of the majority of people's lives. Not everybody, but the majority. And that first phase of life is like the kings today. It's full of enthusiasm. You're excited about your first job. You're excited about promotions. And then you fall in love and you're excited about marriage. And then wonderful when the children come and you are so happy. Your life is fulfilled. And you start building that nest at home for your family. And you love to be together with your family. That's the first phase. Well then, what happened to the kings was the star went away. They lost the star. They were lost. They lost their way, and they had to go and ask someone, "Can you show me the way?" And they went to King Herod. That seems to me to correspond with a phase in our lives which is so common when people lose the star that they're following. It strikes me that it's that part of life when we start to get a little bit bored with life, when there's not as much fun anymore in life, when everything seems to be all about responsibilities and obligations. And everybody's saying, "Give me, give me, give me." And you feel tired. And very common at this time is a feeling of, well, just lack of enthusiasm about life and lack of enthusiasm about everything that inspired you when you were younger. There's a name, they call it the midlife crisis. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens people in a lot of different ways when you lose that energy that you had and that enthusiasm that you had for everything that you were doing. And then you start doing what the kings did. You start looking for people to give you advice, people to give you guidance. And sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're not. These kings weren't lucky. They didn't go to the right person for advice and guidance. And that's sometimes what happens in that part of life when we're unhappy. We seek out people that aren't good for us. We find ourselves with people or in places that aren't good. And we're in darkness. And we're lost. And sometimes that darkness can last for many years. It's not just a moment. For some people go off the track and can be off the track for a long time. And then there is that third phase when the kings again see the star. Ah, there it is. And they follow that star, and it brings them to Jesus. And then they realize we can never go back to the old way. We can never go back to Herod. Now that we have met Jesus, and now that our lives have been changed, we can't go back. Now we see things like we never saw them before. That's a time in our lives when we've struggled with doubts and we've struggled with sadness or whatever it is, and we come to a new realization that we have found Jesus, that the star is shining again in our lives. And once we come to that realization that we have found Jesus, everything becomes clear to us. Everything becomes clear that Jesus is what life is all about. And that all those struggles and all that turbulence in our lives is now behind. And that we have found a peace. And we have found a joy. And we have found something that is deeper than what the world can give us, or the success that we could have in the world, which always leaves us wanting something. That with Jesus we find happiness. And that's why the words of great Saint Augustine, are so true, that our hearts are restless until they rest in thee.